Hello everyone, this is Vijay Kumar Velu and welcome to my presentation of the course project in EEL 6509 Wireless Communications, and the topic I have chosen is Design, Performance and Analysis of an OFDM Communication System. Let's look at the outline of my project. First, I will be designing a simple OFDM communication system and trying to analyze its bit error rate performance. During the course of the project, each stage of the transmitter and receiver chain was modeled and the advantages and disadvantages were studied. One of the main disadvantages that this project aims to solve is the high peak to average power ratio. This project provides a solution to this problem using the PTS algorithm. Now, what is OFDM? The keyword in OFDM is orthogonal, but another keyword is the multi-carrier modulation. So OFDM differs from other modulation schemes because it is a multi-carrier modulation scheme that extends the concept of a single subcarrier scheme. It makes use of a large number of closely spaced orthogonal subcarriers that are transmitted in parallel. Now each subcarrier is individually modulated using a conventional modulation scheme, and it can be QPSK, it can be 16 QAM, but it's modulated at a low symbol rate. How it differs from traditional FDM? So the first difference is multiple carriers, and they are called subcarriers that carry the information stream. These substreams, they are all orthogonal to each other, and there's a guard interval that is added to each symbol so that we will be able to minimize the intersymbol interference. The interference that occurs due to overlap of adjacent symbols can be avoided by introducing a guard interval, and this is possible in OFDM. Orthogonality is the main feature of an OFDM system. So by choosing an appropriate IFFT modulation scheme, we will be able to space the subcarriers in such a way that at any frequency where we evaluate the received signal, all other signals are zero. This is the main principle of orthogonality, and you can see here in the figure, this is the plot that I used from my simulation, MATLAB simulation, and I was able to observe that all the signals in my simulation was orthogonal, and it can be observed in this plot. What are the advantages of OFDM? So the first advantage is that it is resilient to ISI. This is one of the main reasons why we use OFDM. It is resilient to intersymbol interference. It is resilient to narrowband effects. It has simpler channel equalization, and it is also immune to selective fading. The main disadvantages of OFDM are that it's sensitive to carrier offset and drift, and it has high peak to average power ratio PAPR, which is the main idea of this project. So we will be dwelling on how to find a solution to this problem. So this problem is very critical in today's applications because when you have high PAPR, you will require a linear power amplifier, and that will lead to less efficiency. So in today's mobile devices era, it is very important to have high power efficiency, which will eventually lead to higher battery life. So the objective of the project is divided into two parts. The first part will be to describe the generation, transmission and reception of an OFDM signal and to analyze its BER performance. But the core idea of this project is to solve the problem of high PAPR using partial transmit sequences, which is nothing but PTS. Now what are these partial transmit sequences? So let's take a subcarrier block and call it A mu. Now this subcarrier block is then divided into disjoint subblocks, and that is we divide it into V blocks and call each subblock as A mu of V. We choose these subblocks in such a way that when we choose a particular subblock, the subcarrier positions of all other blocks are 0. So mathematically this can be explained as A mu is equal to summation of B is equal to 1 to B. That means there are B subblocks of each subblock. Now remember, A mu is just one of the subcarriers in OFDM. There are many subcarriers in an OFDM system. So each subcarrier is then divided into many subblocks as shown here. Then we introduce the rotation factor B mu of V. Now we rotate each subblock in such a way that we get a modified amplitude vector A mu cap. Now what is the purpose of doing this? We eventually end up with the same information as A mu, but we have control over the information set, and we know what the information set that is used in our project. Now what are the partial transmit sequences? So when you take IDFT, that is inverse discrete Fourier transform of A mu is each subblock, and these blocks after IDFT they are called as partial transmit sequences. Now by choosing suitable free optimization parameters such as B mu of V, we will be able to optimize the peak value, and this can be done as shown in this equation A mu cap, where it is the summation of V is equal to 1 to V B mu of V into A mu of V. A mu of V is obtained by the IDFT of A of A mu, that is IDFT of each subblock, and B mu of V is the free optimization parameter that can be controlled in order to make sure that we optimize the peak value. So the optimum parameters for the OFDM symbol are then given by B mu of 1 to B mu of V. These are the optimization parameters, and by this by making sure that this achieves a global minimum value, we can make sure that it would result in a peak power optimized transmit sequence, that is A mu is equal to sigma V is equal to 1 to V B mu of V into A mu of V. Now this optimized transmit sequence has the lowest crest factor of all other transmit sequences. We know that PAPR is equal to the square of this crest factor. So by minimizing crest factor, by making sure the crest factor has the lowest value, we will also be able to minimize PAPR. Now let's keep aside PTS for a while now. I will explain the OFDM communication system design and the way that I have simulated it in MATLAB, and then we will go back to the PTS solution at the end of the presentation and conclude. So this is the basic block diagram of an OFDM communication system, where you have the blocks such as FEC encoder, interleaver, modulator, IFFT, cyclic prefix, and the AWGN channel, and basically the reverse operations in the receiver side. So the basic principle that is used in the OFDM system is the data symbols are first converted from serial stream to a parallel stream, and each substream will then be modulated through an IFFT modulation block. The cyclic prefix is inserted in order to eliminate intersymbol interference and intercarrier interference. The data is then back converted in a serial form to form an OFDM symbol, but this symbol is in the form of baseband data, which cannot be transmitted over a channel. Therefore, it will modulate a high frequency carrier before its transmission through a channel. In the receiver, as I said before, reverse operations are performed. And this is input data sequence that I used in my MATLAB simulation, and this is the original data that I fed into the OFDM transmitter. As you can see, each data point has a particular amplitude, and I was able to choose this, and it was just a random input data sequence. So what is FEC encoder? Why do we need forward error correction? In some multipath fading channels, some subcarriers dominate the BER performance just because they have the smallest amplitudes. We need to overcome this domination so that the BER performance is not affected by the weakest subcarriers. Therefore, coding can be used, and the errors of the weak subcarriers can be corrected to a certain limit, and therefore we will be able to make sure that the performance of an OFDM link is dependent on the average received power and not on the power of the weakest subcarrier. There are some problems that FEC encoders cannot solve, and this is where we use interleaving. So let's see a situation where many errors occur at the same time. We call this as bursts of errors. So when we have many errors at the same time, FEC encoders may not be able to deal with them. Therefore, interleaving is applied now to randomize these bit errors. So at the transmitter side, we apply permutations to the coded bits to make sure that adjacent bits are far away. They're separated by several bits after interleaving. At the receiver side, however, reverse permutation is performed before decoding. Let's talk about QPSK modulation. QPSK modulation is also known as 4PSK or 4QAM. It uses 4 points on the constellation diagram as shown here, and they can encode 2 bits per symbol, and there is a lowering of the bit error rate. So in MATLAB implementation, as you can see, I took the signal from the original data, and they were divided into multiple subcarriers as I will show in the next slide. Then I used this PSK mod function in order to perform QPSK modulation in MATLAB, where M is set to 4 for the number of subcarrier channels. IFFT. Now, the inverse Fourier transform is used to convert the signal from the frequency domain to the time domain. It is essential to convert them to time domain in order to transmit them through a channel. IFFT. Why is IFFT used and not IDFT? IFFT is used in order to reduce the amount of calculations as it exploits the regularity of IDFT. In MATLAB, IFFT can be performed using the IFFT function. So before QPSK modulation, the serial data is converted into parallel stream of data. That is, you have the number of subcarriers. Here I have used 4 subcarriers, and then these 4 subcarriers are then modulated using QPSK modulation, and then IFFT is applied on all 4 subcarriers. As you can see on the right of the screen, this is the plot of the subcarriers after IFFT was applied. Cyclic prefix. Cyclic prefix is mainly added or appended in order to eliminate intersymbol interference or intercarrier interference. Now, this is nothing but you take a part of the OFDM symbol and you put it before each OFDM symbol. So this is nothing but redundant bits in front of an OFDM symbol. This is done so that even though there is an overlap between the present symbol and the past symbol, you have these redundant bits that will be overlapped, and therefore your information stream or the data payload will be unaffected by the overlapping of symbols. The advantages of using cyclic prefix is it provides robustness. You have some extra data in the cyclic prefix, the redundant data. It also reduces intersymbol interference to a large extent because the data payload is untouched by the overlapping of adjacent symbols. But the disadvantage is that it reduces the data capacity because of redundancy of bits. In MATLAB, cyclic prefix can be easily applied on this is done after the IFFT stage, and the first thing we need to do is to set the length of the cyclic prefix. Here I have set the length as 0.1 of the block size, that is 10% of the block size. And it's also important that we concatenate the cyclic prefix by using wordcat function. The position is calculated according to the block size, and prefix is then appended to the subcarriers after IFFT is applied. So the OFDM signal that's transmitted out of the transmitter is actually done after the cyclic prefix is appended to the data stream. So this data is then back serial converted, forming an OFDM symbol. But this symbol cannot be directly transmitted over a channel. Therefore, this symbol will then modulate a high frequency carrier before its transmission through the channel. What is AWGN? Additive White Gaussian Noise Channel. It is important as design engineers. It is very important to make sure that the signal that you transmit reaches the destination and reaches with a good signal to noise ratio. So in order to make sure that the signal reaches the destination, we need to mimic the effect of random processes that occur in nature in our test bed. The way we can do that is by using AWGN channel. AWGN channel is modeled in MATLAB using the AWGN function. So as you can see here, to the right of your screen, this is the OFDM signal after passing through the channel. Here is the OFDM signal before passing through the channel, that is after the cyclic prefix is added. This is the OFDM signal, and you can see the OFDM signal after it passes through the channel. As you can see, there are considerable variations in amplitude, and this can be considered as the noise in the AWGN channel. So these are some of the considerations that wireless system designers need to take into consideration and make sure that noise does not affect the signal to noise ratio of our signal. So in the OFDM signal, in the OFDM receiver side, we basically have inverse operations, and the first stage is to remove the cyclic prefix. So as you can see to the right of your screen, this is the plot of the subcarriers after the cyclic prefix is removed. Next is to perform an FFT, which is the inverse or the reverse operation of IFFT. So in MATLAB, FFT is computed using the FFT function. It manages to reduce the complexity of computing DFT, and therefore this is much preferred and it's much faster. Again, to the right of the screen, you can see the FFT of all these 4 subcarriers. That is after the cyclic prefix was removed, then we apply FFT on all the 4 subcarriers, and this is the result that we got from my simulation. The next stage is demodulation. So the coherent FFT demodulator, it will retrieve the exact form of the transmitter symbols. Again, the data is serial converted, and an appropriate demodulation scheme is applied in order to estimate the symbol that was transmitted. As you can see to the right of the screen, this was the received signal, but with considerable error that is expected after passing through the AWGN channel and through these transmitter and receiver components. As you can see, this to the left of your screen, this is the theoretical BER that was calculated for QPSK modulation, and to the right of your screen is the actual bit error rate performance that was observed in my simulations. So it can be concurred that there's not much degradation in the BER performance, and therefore we can say that the system performed well, and there will be a discussion of BER in the further slides when we discuss PTS algorithm. So again, to remind you of what is PAPR, PAPR is nothing but the peak to average power ratio of any signal x of t. So it's the ratio between the maximum instantaneous power and its average power. If PAPR is lower, that means power efficiency is higher, and hence battery life will be maximized. Therefore, it is very important to make sure that PAPR is low. To the right of your screen, you can see the block diagram that shows the implementation of PTS algorithm. So what are the steps in PDS algorithm? As I explained in the beginning of this presentation, the steps are very similar to the steps I explained, and these are the MATLAB implementations of those steps. So first, the symbol is divided into m disjoint subblocks. These subblocks are then transformed into time domain by using the IFFT function. Then they are rotated by some phase factors, that is by bi, and then they are combined to produce a time domain OFDM signal packet. Now it is very important to select this vector by in such a way that the PAPR of the corresponding transmit sequence will be the lowest. The IQ vector of different wireless standards will have different PAPR time domain patterns and OFDM structure based on the OFDM structure. Hence, different iterations need to be carried out. For this project, I have used the LTE IQ vector with 1.4 MHz bandwidth and FFT size of 128 in order to apply the PTS algorithm. So these are the results that I observed once I ran the PTS algorithm. Now what is CCDF? Complementary cumulative distribution function measures the probability of a signal's instantaneous power to be a specified level above its average power. Now this sounds to be similar to PAPR, and therefore we use CCDF as a measure, to measure the peak to average power ratio. Now when we plot CCDF against BER, the bit error rate performance, and this is what I observed in my simulations, that the blue curve was for when PTS algorithm was not applied. The red curve was when PTS algorithm was applied. So it is very clearly visible that when we apply PTS algorithm, there is a reduction in peak to average power ratio as depicted in this plot of using CCDF. Again, CCDF, it measures the probability of a signal's instantaneous power to be a specified level of its average power, and this definition is similar to PAPR, and that's why I have used CCDF as a measure to measure PAPR. So what is the summary of this project? So each stage of the OFDM communication system was modeled, and its MATLAB implementation was also shown. The bit error rate performance was analyzed, and it was confirmed that it matches the theoretical bit error rate performance. And this project also successfully demonstrated that the PAPR could be reduced using the PTS algorithm. Before I conclude the project, I would like to show the demonstration of the MATLAB code for OFDM transmitter and receiver sections.